I'm Brian Wilson in for Tony Snow live from Washington for the next 2 hours. Al-Qaeda now says Abu Musab al-Zarqawi is not mortally wounded and is still leading operations in Iraq. Is this Al-Qaeda in disarray or is it disinformation? We'll examine. And a little blue controversy. The FDA investigates reports that Viagra may cause blindness. Then, after a 56-hour standoff atop an Atlanta crane, it was a cup of water and a taser gun that brought a murder suspect down from his perch. All that and a whole lot more right here on Weekend Live. Rumors continue to swirl in Baghdad over Abu Musab al-Zarqawi's health, and Iraqi forces step up efforts to combat the surge of car bombings in that country. Andrew Stack is live in Baghdad with the very latest. Hello, Andrew.
Hello, Brian. Well, the truth is there are so many conflicting stories about Abu Musab al-Zarqawi's health, it's probable only Zarqawi himself knows the truth. Today, another web posting by Al-Qaeda claims he's doing just fine and taking care of business. Others yesterday and the day before say the opposite, that he's wounded. Either way, one thing is certain, it's not having much effect on his followers who are still carrying out a string of deadly attacks around the country. Okay, today first, outside the main gate of a joint U.S. military base with Iraqi troops in northern Iraq, 2 car bombs exploded in quick succession. The base located in Sinjar is about 75 miles northwest of Mosul. 5 people were killed and another 40 wounded there. And in Saddam's hometown of Tikrit, another car bomb targeted a police patrol but only ended up killing innocent civilians. At least 2 people died in the blast, another 24 were wounded. But in Bakuva, quite a different story. 3 terrorists there managed to blow themselves up while setting up a roadside bomb. This sort of thing happens from time to time and is greeted as good news by coalition troops who would likely have been targeted. Meanwhile, Iraqi authorities are confirming the death of a Japanese security consultant abducted by terrorists earlier this month. Akihiko Saito has been missing since his convoy was ambushed. The Sunni militant group Ansar al-Sunnah posted photos of Saito's slain body on an internet site. Moving to western Iraq, Operation New Market is now in its 5th day. 1 U.S. Marine was killed today by a rocket-propelled grenade as more than 1,000 coalition troops are trying to flush the remaining terrorists out of Haditha. This is the follow-up campaign to Operation Matador, which put followers of Abu Musab al-Zarqawi on the run earlier this month. And at least 23 people have died in the past day, 10 of them the bodies of Iraqis on a pilgrimage that were dumped in the Al-Qaim region where Matador took place. And in the next couple of days, there will be a similar operation to Operation Matador right here in the capital city. This time, Operation Lightning will deploy 40,000 Iraqi soldiers. They'll set up more than 600 checkpoints, and they will try to stem the tide in this rising violence here. Brian?
Andrew Stack in Baghdad, thank you. A month-long UN conference fighting the spread of nuclear weapons ends in failure. The 188 members of the Non-Proliferation Treaty couldn't agree on new steps to fight the spread of nukes. Diplomats blame bickering between nuclear and non-nuclear states. Former President Bill Clinton is in Sri Lanka this weekend offering up his support on plans to distribute the tsunami relief aid. Clinton was recently appointed to the position of UN Special Envoy for Tsunami Recovery. He's on the second leg of a 4-nation tour. Saudi officials say King Fahd is in stable condition today, 1 day after he was taken to the hospital with pneumonia. Officials say the king underwent treatment to have water drained from his lungs. Fears about the king's condition heightened yesterday after a royal statement urged Saudis to pray for his recovery. The palace has issued no further update on his health. King Fahd is in his early 80s and has been incapacitated by stroke since 1995. And the fallout continues from that faulty Newsweek report on the U.S. mishandling of the Koran. New protests are taking place across the Middle East and Asia. Thousands of Muslim protesters from Iraq to Indonesia waved copies of the Koran, burned the American flag, and demanded an apology from the United States. UN Secretary General Kofi Annan is visiting Sudan's troubled Darfur region today. He's there to examine security and is being provided to refugees. Later today, Annan will meet with Sudanese Vice President to make his case that genocide in the country over the last 3 years has killed tens of thousands and left some 2 million people homeless. Well, days after he helped broker a deal on federal judges, Senator John McCain is trying to find middle ground on John Bolton's embattled nomination to be UN ambassador. Kelly Wright is in our Washington bureau with more on that story. Hello, Kelly.
Brian, good afternoon to you. The senator is being called a maverick. Maverick, of course, being defined as being independent in thought and action or exhibiting such independence. Based on that, some senators are describing Senator John McCain as being a maverick politician. The Republican senator of Arizona is becoming known as a mediator or broker, if you will, within the Senate. And there is talk now that he may even become a candidate for president in 2008. While that's far off, what's happening for the moment is that McCain is involved in making conciliatory overtures between Republicans and Democrats to move the Senate to vote for President Bush's judicial nominees. He hosted the Monday night meeting that resulted in 7 Republicans and 7 Democrats averting a showdown over filibusters of judicial nominees. And now he's trying to pave the way for a compromise to bring the confirmation of John Bolton to a final vote. McCain was stunned when the Democrats and one independent were able to delay the vote on Bolton until after the Memorial Day recess, demanding the White House first hand over classified documents relating to Bolton's conduct. On Friday, Senator McCain signaled his support for the deal. McCain told Fox News that he supports Bolton, but would like the White House to pursue releasing those documents to make the deal happen.
The fact is that John Bolton, as a result of the hearings, in his view, has come out more qualified than he was before he went in. I think we can resolve this over the recess and get this thing done and get John Bolton to work. I'm sorry there's going to be a delay.
White House Press Secretary Scott McClellan said the information will not be released and said in a telephone interview with the New York Times that this is about partisan politics, not documents. They have the information they need. Senator McCain is playing the role of broker, urging the White House and the Senate to come together in a deal that he claims will allow Bolton to receive an up or down vote. Brian?
Kelly Wright here in Washington. The CIA is conducting a 3-day war game to see how well the agency is prepared for an electronic assault on the scale of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. National correspondent Catherine Herridge is here in Washington with that story as well. Hello, Catherine.
Hi, Brian. Homeland Security, the CIA, the military, they all use wargaming as a way to practice identifying and responding to terrorist attacks. The CIA is wrapping up a 3-day exercise called Silent Horizon, which is meant to simulate a major internet attack by computer hackers. The exercise is based on a scenario 5 years in the future. Think of it as a digital Pearl Harbor. The exercise is happening 2 hours southwest of Washington, D.C. in Charlottesville, Virginia. While the details are meant to be secret, some reports suggest the exercise includes a fictional new alliance of anti-American organizations that include hackers who cause escalating disruptions to the internet. The war game is being run by the CIA's Information Operations Center, which evaluates threats to U.S. computer systems based on intel from foreign governments, criminal organizations, and hackers. While it's largely believed within the intelligence community that chemical, biological, and conventional explosives are the most likely form of attack, officials say a cyber attack could be even more devastating in terms of its economic impact. Among its planning, Homeland Security has considered cyber attacks, which would cripple the electrical grid, also disrupt basic banking services, for example, disabling millions of credit cards, shutting down ATMs across the nation, even throwing a wrench into payroll systems. All of these would cost billions in lost revenue and undermine the nation's confidence. You know, it's not so far-fetched. One of the bombers convicted in the Bali nightclub attack in 2002 had expressed an interest in cyber terrorism. Iman Samudra included a chapter in his autobiography called Hacking, Why Not? The bottom line for the intel community is that they've got to think out of the box. It's entirely plausible that terrorists would combine a physical attack like a car bomb with a hacker attack to disrupt rescue efforts. This hybrid is known as a swarming attack. Brian.
Catherine Herridge, thank you much. Did you lose a suitcase at Miami International Airport? If so, you might want to pay attention because it could well be auctioned off this weekend. 700 unclaimed, lost, and never found items are up for grab as the airport empties out its storage rooms. And the catch is that the bidders don't get to see what's actually inside the sealed bags before bidding on them. It's kind of a suitcase grab bag of sorts. And over in Utah, Amanda Gowan is looking to set a new world record for swinging. That's right, the teenage girl hopes to make it into the Guinness Book of World Records for the longest swing. The current record is 24.5 hours. Amanda hopes to beat that by 5 hours. She gets 15-minute breaks every 8 hours, and she does wear gloves to prevent blisters on her hands. We give it to you all here. Now, this week in Washington, what some political watchers are calling a convoluted compromise left many scratching their heads. Charles Krauthammer will be here to tell us who really won in that deal. And that standoff between Atlanta police and a murder suspect on a crane is over. We'll tell you how police finally got the guy down. This is Weekend Live. Brian Wilson in for Tony Snow. We'll have an announcement about Tony in just a minute. You want to stay tuned for that? Back in just a moment.
Why isn't there a DVD recorder so easy to use that I don't hear Dad say words I'm not supposed to hear? Why isn't there a defibrillator so easy to use that almost anyone can use it? Why can't technology be as simple as the box it comes in?
We think technology should simplify life, not complicate it.
Dytek's $395 flat fee home loan can save you thousands of dollars in closing costs.
I was looking to refinance my condo. My friend had told me about Dytek. He told me that they had loans for $395. I wasn't sure what to expect. I had some problems with other brokerages, and I went with Dytek. I was really happy. They really gave me a loan for $395. It was everything I expected.
Refinance now with the flat fee home loan from Dytek.com. The total lender fee is just $395. Log on or call 1-800-DYTEK-1.
How do the professionals fight bugs? They put down a barrier that stops them dead. Now you can too. Introducing Ortho Home Defense Max. With one easy application inside and out, Ortho's exclusive InvisiShield technology forms a barrier, killing the bugs you have, stopping new ones from coming in. All season long, guaranteed. New Ortho Home Defense Max. Kill bugs like a pro.
You take care of your body. So can your toothbrush. There is more and more evidence that oral health impacts overall health. So it makes sense to use the Sonic brush, used and recommended by more dental professionals. Sonicare, because your mouth is the gateway to your body.
Both parties claiming victory after this week's Senate ceasefire over federal judges, but our next guest says the Republicans snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. He's Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist, Fox News contributor Charles Krauthammer. You had an article this week, a column in which you talked about profiles in flinching. Who flinched and why?
It was the Republicans. They really had a chance here to do something historic. The Democrats had created a way to block judicial nominees unprecedented. They would do it by demanding 60 senators rather than 50, which has never happened in the 200 years of the Republic. Very much a breaking of a tradition. And the Republicans were going to pass a rule, so-called nuclear option, that would undo that. They needed only 50 senators. I think they had the 50. I think Senator Frist also was sure he had that 50, and yet we all know there was this great compromise, which was half a loaf. But if you've got the entire loaf within your reach and you end up with half a loaf, you've lost.
Well, who flinched in the middle? It was what some people call them rhinos, Republicans in name only. It was the moderate Republicans who flinched, really, wasn't it?
Well, some of them you sort of expected. The ones from New England who are really liberal Republicans, an almost extinct species, soon to be extinct in the future. But you would expect they would end up in a compromise. But what was surprising was Senator Warner, who's not a liberal, and then you had Senator DeWine and Graham from South Carolina, who were the ones essentially who swung that deal. And they came out of it saying we have a new era, a new spirit of comedy and understanding. And then 3 days later, they get whacked on the Bolton nomination and then expressed surprise that the Democrats were not abiding by that spirit. There was no spirit. These guys were had.
This doesn't really, though, put off a possible showdown over the constitutional or / nuclear option.
It may come up again.
Yeah.
That's true. And because this is really about the Supreme Court. It's not about these circuit court nominees. This is a proxy. The question is what's going to happen when Rehnquist retires, and the Republicans had the chance to make sure that they would only require 51 senators, and now they're not so sure. We're going to have this thing all over again.
Some people have said, though, that it shows what is, you hear this all the time in Washington, that the real power in this town, if it chooses to be, is in the center. That the center, if it can organize, can be very effective. That's certainly true on the Supreme Court, and some people say it can be true on Capitol Hill as well.
But that senator is really disorganized. You know, people were saying, well, it had emerged on Monday with that deal, and it was coherent and would hold it together. People were saying that McCain was now the leader of the Senate. Well, by the end of the week, it all collapsed over the Bolton nomination. So it shows that there really is so much disparity and weakness in that center, it can't govern. I think what's happening is the Democrats use this temporary center to block the Republicans.
And you think that when we come back after this weekend that we're in for some more of this stuff?
Absolutely. And I think around, when Rehnquist retires, which will be soon, we may get 2 or 3 Supreme Court nominations. We're going to have a battle royal. I think we're going to have that nuclear option again, and I hope that the Republicans will be able to hold together.
What did this end up doing for Frist and for Reid on the Democratic side?
Frist showed his sincerity.
Was he weakened by it?
He was weakened because he looked weak. Now, leading the Senate is like herding cats. It's not exactly like leading the House. It's a very hard job. And when you see it every day on C-SPAN and you watch it happening, leaders look weak. And Frist was surprised on this. Now, if in the end Supreme Court nominees work, he'll be okay. But right now, he is wounded.
What about Reid, who we're seeing on the screen now, the Democratic leader?
Well, I'm not sure he was the one who gains out of all of this. If anything, it's the so-called moderates in the center. I mean, he jumped on this, but I think he hurt himself in a way when on the Bolton nomination, where he apparently had assured the Republicans everything would be okay. He ended up weak as well because he was undercut by his own caucus.
And how much of this has to do with presidential politics?
A lot. Frist, of course, is running. I think he's doing this thing sincerely. He wants the judges to pass. It will please the base, but that's not a way of saying there's any insincerity. A lot's at stake there. McCain, of course, will be running as a centrist, and he was laying his claim. So it looked as if these 2 heavyweights were in the ring together.
All right. Charles Krauthammer, it's good to have you here for your analysis.
It's always a pleasure.
We greatly appreciate it. It's been 2 weeks and still no solid leads in the disappearance of 2 missing Idaho children. We'll get a live update on the investigation on just the other side of this break. And the 56-hour standoff between Atlanta police and a murder suspect perched on an 18-story construction crane is over. We'll tell you how police finally got the guy down. And remember that our good friend Tony Snow has returned to the radio full-time. In fact, he will return to this Saturday time slot in mid-June. In the meantime, to find out where you can hear Tony Snow radio show, you can go to tonysnow.com, and they'll point out a radio station in your area that carries that broadcast. Back in a moment.
Nobody knows this neighborhood better than Wendy Owens of Prudential Real Estate. Wendy's great with technology, and she's the best there is at bringing buyers and sellers together.
Have a great turn early closing.
Professionals like Wendy Owens are why you choose Prudential Real Estate.
Bathroom is still life? How about bathroom as real life? Moen. Buy it for looks, buy it for life.
Adaptive headlights, designed to anticipate what lies ahead. Unsurpassed 335 horsepower, designed to leave all others behind. The luxury sedan, designed to outperform. Introducing the all-new M from Infiniti.
Veranda is a revolutionary material for decks and fences that resists warping, splintering, and rotting. It stands up to some of the most extreme conditions on Earth. Chances are, it can handle your backyard. And Veranda never needs sealing, staining, or painting, so you spend time enjoying your deck instead of working on it. Veranda, exclusively at the Home Depot. Right now, get a free $50 gift card for every $500 Veranda decking purchase.
21st century trading is all about vision. Can you clearly see what the market is doing? That's why we created QuoteScope. Now watch level 2 data like never before. Spot current trends and trade with one click for just $10.99 per internet equity or options trade with 75-cent options contract fees. It's the 21st century. Trade like it. Join Ameritrade today and get 30 commission-free internet equity trades.
His name is synonymous with greatness. He's more than a legend. To millions, he's an icon. Now he returns to the ring in the ultimate event. Julio Cesar Chavez. Adios. Also in action, his son, Julio Jr., and former champions Carlos Hernandez and Jesus Chavez in a world title elimination bout. Saturday, May 28th, live on Dish Network pay-per-view. To order, use your remote or call 1-877-DISH-PPV. See a legend before your eyes.
How would you like the power to change from this to this? Join the thousands of men and women who are changing their bodies and lives with our best-selling videos hosted by fitness celebrity John Basow.
Fitness Made Simple gives you the power to change. The power to change your body, the power to change your life.
Order our power package today and get the original Fitness Made Simple workout and nutrition video, plus AM/PM workouts, John's popular morning and evening exercise video for only $29.95. That's 2 videos for the price of 1. Call now.
Fitness Made Simple, bringing real results to real people.
Testimony is over in the Michael Jackson case. Prosecutors ended their case by playing a videotape of the accuser telling detectives how Jackson molested him. Jackson's attorney did not present a defense rebuttal, so closing arguments could begin as early as Wednesday. There's an arrest warrant out for the woman known as the Runaway Bride. It was issued after a grand jury indicted Jennifer Wilbanks on charges related to her false claim of a kidnapping when she disappeared April 26th. Just 4 days before her planned wedding. If convicted, she could face 6 years in prison, $11,000 in fines, and more than $50,000 to reimburse authorities for the cost of what they thought was a missing persons search. Idaho police are now searching a landfill and hope to find evidence that will lead them to the 2 missing children there. Preliminary DNA analysis released earlier this week from the home where 3 bodies were found showed no traces of the children's blood. Captain Ben Wolfinger of the Kootenai County Sheriff's Department joins us live on the phone with the very latest on this investigation. Captain, the fact that you found no traces of blood at the crime scene that belonged to the children, what does that tell you?
Well, it just reinforces our beliefs that the children weren't harmed there in the home and they were taken from the home. That gives us that additional hope, that little bolstering that we'll find the children and be able to bring them home where they belong.
At this time, you're out with workers searching the area landfill. What are you looking for there?
Well, we're into day 3 of searching that landfill. What we're searching is an isolated part of it where the trash from the dumpster site close to the home went. We know that criminals commonly throw evidence in a dumpster, figuring that the police will never find it. We're going to go through that about 40 tons of trash there over the next week or so, looking for any evidence that we can tie back to this crime scene, whether it be bloody clothing, a weapon, a tool, whatever.
Well, you have now the passage of quite a bit of time since these children disappeared. You got Dylan and Shasta, and you know that the longer it goes, the less likely it is. What is your greatest hope now, and what else are you doing to focus on trying to find them?
Well, this weekend we've asked people in the National Forest in and around Kootenai County to see if there's anything they see suspicious. I mean, this is the kind of the kickoff of the unofficial summer camping season. And we'd ask those people if they see anything suspicious, anything out of place, please contact us and let us know, investigate it. We're also just trying to keep those children's picture out there. If they're still out there being moved around, we anticipate somebody somewhere in this traveling weekend will see those children and give us a call so we can follow up on it and hopefully find those kids and get them back here with their father. I'm
guessing that part of the problem is it's very hard to canvass the entire state because there are so many remote regions in the state of Idaho.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the 13th largest state in the nation and literally millions of acres of national forest land. And so we're asking the public to be our extra eyes and ears out there to see what they can find out there in those national forest grounds.
All right, Captain, thank you so much. We appreciate you joining us, and we all keep a good thought, cross our fingers for some good news in this continuing investigation. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
A tractor-trailer collided with a church van in Indianapolis. About a dozen people were sent to the hospital with broken bones and lacerations. None of them were considered critical. Emergency crews had to tear the roof off the van. Police say they planned to ticket the truck driver for failing to yield as he rounded a turn. Coming up, just when things were looking up for bipartisanship on Capitol Hill, along comes the Bolton nomination. We talked about the judges. We're going to talk about the Bolton nomination in a moment. Is the honeymoon over? And a little later, we'll get a live report from Baghdad on the latest violence there, and we'll try to separate fact from fiction about Abu Musab al-Zarqawi's health. Is he in good shape? Is he in bad shape? We'll try to figure out what we know. Back in a moment.
Derek Rolando Mansilla from Kinder, Louisiana. I want to tell my family happy Memorial Day. I love y'all, and my son Logan, I love you and I miss you.
Hi, this is James Garner for Financial Freedom. If you're 62 or older and own your own home, I'd like to talk to you about something you should know. It's called a reverse mortgage, and it's a safe, easy way to quickly turn your home equity into tax-free money. Now, I got to tell you, I was reluctant to talk about reverse mortgages because, like a lot of folks, I didn't understand the facts. But as I learned more, I realized that this is something that many senior homeowners can benefit from. I sure think you should at least look into it. You can get the facts you need to make a smart decision by calling for an educational video from Financial Freedom, the nation's leader in reverse mortgages. It's absolutely free and there's no obligation. The video explains that you keep your home and that you can use the money you get for almost anything, from paying bills and medical costs to doing something you've always dreamed of. But as these real Financial Freedom customers will tell you, the most important thing you get is something you really can't put a price on.
We have peace of mind. I have no trouble sleeping at night.
It's just an ideal situation for myself. It's changed my life. It's freed me of worries.
Once the reverse mortgage come in, that made the difference. Big difference.
I've heard lots of stories about seniors like these, people whose lives have truly been changed by reverse mortgages. And how many things can you really say that about? If you're a homeowner 62 or older, why not give Financial Freedom a call? Who knows? It might just change your life, too.
To get your free informative video or DVD on reverse mortgages, call Financial Freedom toll-free at 800-581-0954. There's no obligation, so call today. That's 800-581-0954.
The backyard has a fence. The playground has a fence. The ball field has a fence. Beyond the fences, new worlds are waiting. Go on. Pursue your passions. Go RVing. Call for a free video and visit an RV dealer.
It is time for a quick check of today's headlines. That means we need to check in with Paige Hopkins at the Fox News desk in New York. Hello, Paige.
Thank you, Brian. Hello, everybody. We have, to start off with some bad news, Baghdad is confirming the death of a Japanese man who was taken hostage by terrorists earlier this month. A Sunni militant group said it carried out the killing. Meanwhile, a string of attacks has killed at least 23 Iraqis since yesterday. One of them was a homicide car bombing in the town of Tikrit. The terrorists were apparently targeting an Iraqi police patrol. 6 policemen were among the 24 people wounded. The King of Saudi Arabia is said to be in stable condition after being hospitalized for pneumonia. A statement from the royal family says King Fahd had to have water drained from his lungs. Yesterday, they urged Saudis to pray for his health. King Fahd was incapacitated by a stroke in 1995. The Bush administration wants to be allowed to make internet providers turn over information about their customers as part of the war on terror. Last year, a judge ruled the feds could not search communication records, saying the law which allowed them was flawed. The administration is asking an appeals court to overturn that ruling. And British engineers trying to figure out what caused Big Ben to stop running for 90 minutes last night. The minute hand of London's famous clock stopped briefly, began moving again, then stopped altogether. Some experts say the glitch was caused by the record heat in Britain now, but one of Ben's engineers says it's a mystery. It's the third time Ben has ground to a halt since 1997. And that's a look at some of the latest headlines. Back to Brian Wilson in Washington and more Weekend Live.
All right, thank you, Paige. The 56-hour standoff between a murder suspect perched upon an 18-story construction crane and the Atlanta police is over. Todd Conner is live in our New York headquarters with more details on this story. Hello, Todd.
Hey there, Brian. Carl Edward Rowland is wanted in Pinellas County, Florida, suspected of strangling his ex-girlfriend and dumping her body in a pond behind her home. Well, police took that 41-year-old suspect into custody just after midnight with the help of a taser gun. Atlanta police got their break when Rowland, who complained of being thirsty, reached for a cup of water handed to him by a SWAT member. That's when police shocked him, enabling them to take him into custody and lower him 18 stories from the crane's arm. Police took Rowland to a nearby hospital where he is reported in good condition. He first climbed up the construction crane in the Buckhead area of Atlanta on Wednesday, telling authorities he was thinking of jumping off. Despite the seriousness of the standoff, it became somewhat of a spectacle for locals. Restaurants within view were packed for lunch and dinner as diners watched the so-called crane man. Other businesses, including the construction company, complained it was hurting their bottom line. Florida authorities were in Atlanta also when Rowland was arrested, and Atlanta's assistant police chief says extradition proceedings will begin soon. Rowland apparently believed his girlfriend, whom he dated on and off for the last 3 to 4 years, according to the victim's daughter, was cheating on him. And an affidavit shows Rowland asked acquaintances for a gun so that he could kill Gonzalez. A neighbor found her body on Tuesday. He also faces charges in Atlanta now as well. Brian.
All right, thank you very much, Todd. Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton's former fundraising director has been acquitted of underreporting money raised at a lavish gala. David Rosen faced 10 years in jail if he had been convicted. The government says he hid campaign money that was raised at a star-studded fundraiser for Hillary's 2000 campaign. Mark House Majority Leader Tom DeLay down as someone not likely to be watching NBC's Law and Order Criminal Intent series anytime soon. The Republican representative from Texas wrote a letter to NBC executives complaining about a line in a recent episode. During a discussion about the shooting death of a federal judge, one of the characters on the show said, quote, "Maybe we should put in an APB for someone in a Tom DeLay t-shirt." DeLay calls the reference a slur. It may have been a very short honeymoon in the U.S. Senate. Just days after moderates declared a ceasefire over federal judges, partisanship rears its ugly head over the confirmation of John Bolton to be the UN ambassador. Joining me to talk about the week in politics, Mike Allen of the Washington Post and Bill Douglas of the Knight Ridder. Good to have you both here. Well, we just had Charles Krauthammer on a moment ago talking about all that took place in this battle over the federal judges and how they came up with a compromise. But as soon as that compromise seemed to be struck, everything sort of came unglued. What happened?
You're right. Thursday night was one of the grimmer nights I've seen at the Capitol. Lindsey Graham, senator from South Carolina, who's been there a while, called it the tensest week in some time. And the moderates who were involved in putting together that compromise look a little bit like suckers because they certainly didn't end filibusters. Going into the day, the Senate Majority Leader Bill Frist had been assured by his Democratic counterpart Harry Reid that they would go ahead and allow this vote on confirmation. At the last minute, two Democrats, Chris Dodd and Joe Biden, said that they wanted to assert the prerogatives of the institution and demanded more paperwork about Bolton. Now, they don't think they're going to get it, and they think when they come back he's going to be confirmed, but they wanted to make their point while they could.
Well, they made the point, and then all of a sudden there's this feeling that, uh-oh, I thought we were all friends now. I thought we all decided we could get along, and that the moderates had found some kind of compromise. Now, no one's really sure whether the filibuster thing is dead or not.
Well, there's got to be a morning after, and they're still going to figure out what it is. No, they woke up the next day and you know, they just said, well, the can's been kicked down the road a little bit. And, you know, the real test comes when there's a Supreme Court vacancy. The Democrats can filibuster, the Republicans can try to stop them. Both sides are sort of saying, you know, got together and said, well, really nothing's much changed, but we just moved this down the road a bit. And so everyone feels a bit uneasy.
What was going on behind the scenes in your mind?
Well, I mean, from the White House end, they were looking forward to getting rid of filibusters. I think
they wanted that all resolved. They wanted to pull the trigger on the nuclear option.
But I think a couple of things were at play. I think you had a sincere belief by some of the old bulls in the Senate for protection of their prerogative to exercise this filibuster. And no one likes to see something change in an institution that's, you know, something that they've had for hundreds of years. I think you had a little bit of that. I think you had some concerns from some members about, there are other bigger fish to fry, other issues that are going to be happening down the road, like Social Security, that you need to have a cooperative Senate and a Senate not divided by any one big issue.
So where are we now on the nomination of John Bolton to be the president's UN ambassador? Is it ultimately going to push through after, this stand?
Senators on both sides told me that they think it will. They think they will not get these documents that they asked for. But what they have now is signs that this governing from the center is not going to occur.
If Joe Biden and Chris Dodd knew they weren't going to get these documents from the White House, there was virtually no chance the White House was going to cough up these documents. Why go down that path?
Well, they are saying that the Republicans misread the election, and the Republicans are reading the election to say is they can do whatever they want, and they don't need to pay any attention to the minority. This was a way for them to make their point. They're generating a week of bad publicity for Bill Frist, who looks at the moment like he can't get what he wants. Now, the Frist side will tell you the aim was not to deploy the nuclear option. The aim was to get some judges confirmed, and that's occurring. But as Bill points out, now that fight is postponed, and what Republicans worry about, Republicans who don't like the McCain approach, is that now it's going to occur around a higher profile nominee, which will be bad for the parties.
Everybody will be watching when the next Supreme Court. That could happen. We could have 2 vacancies on the Supreme Court by this summer.
That's entirely possible.
And then it's going to be Katie Barr at the door.
And get some popcorn, sit down, because it could be
it's going to be a long show, a long hot summer, as they say. Who won in all this mess that happened in Washington this week, Bill, in your mind?
I think
who won and who lost?
Senator Frist had an interesting week. I'm not sure I'd say he was a loser, but he's a little bruised. I think Senator McCain positioned himself nicely as sort of a healer and compromiser, which doesn't hurt him in 2008 with moderate-thinking voters. It could hurt him a little bit with the religious conservatives who were hoping for the.
Who do you think won and lost?
Well, Senator McCain has positioned himself as someone said to me, as the adult in the cafeteria during the food fight. Definitely a good place for him to be. Senator Frist, on the other hand, needs to be sure that conservatives stay with him. And if you didn't realize that was on his mind, he didn't go out and talk to the press as he usually does on TV. He went on the Janet Parshall and Sean Hannity radio shows. This weekend, Senator Frist is spending 2 days at the Coca-Cola 600 in Charlotte, going to the driver's chapel, going to the driver's meeting. He'll be dropping the flag, Let's Go Racing, and awarding the trophies. So you can see the group that Senator Frist is paying attention to this week. Then later on, he goes back to usual form. He's at Harvard talking about bioterrorism.
All right, there we go. Good discussion, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Happy holiday.
Same to you. This week, the CIA is playing war games, but there will be no bullets or bombs. We'll have more on efforts to defend this country against cyber attacks. And the Hooters restaurant chain has its name on a golf tour, a stock car, and even a Little League team. And that last one is causing a bit of controversy. We'll explore that when Weekend Live returns. Stay with us.
Invention is greater than convention. Moving forward is greater than sitting still. Simple is greater than complex. Greater power, greater technology, greater beauty. The all-new Audi A6. It's greater to lead than follow. This is Phil. He's had 2 careers, 10 jobs, not counting his acting stint, 5 different homes, 7 mortgages, 2 marriages, 4 kids, 8 grandkids and counting, 6 dogs, and 1 nagging desire to someday sail across the Atlantic. Reaching retirement is no small achievement. We'll help you make the most of it and make it easier. Introducing the Income Management Account only from Fidelity. Call today for a free consultation at 1-800-FIDELITY.
Your skin. It's your body's largest organ, a reflection of your inner health and outer beauty. Now, Olay has found a way to enhance the beauty of your skin from the inside out with Olay vitamins. When taken daily, Olay Total Effects Beautiful Skin and Wellness Vitamins give you all the wellness benefits of traditional multivitamins with a bonus. Clinical studies have shown that powerful antioxidants like vitamin A, CoQ10, and alpha-lipoic acid with green tea extract fight the factors that damage skin cells and lead to the signs of aging. Olay vitamins provide the right combinations of these powerful antioxidants, leading to firmer, younger-looking skin.
I found after I'd been using the Olay vitamins for a little bit of time that I was really noticing a difference in the moisture in my skin.
It seems to be working really well for my energy level and for my just physical well-being.
Go online or call the number now to get $5 in coupons. Find Olay vitamins in the vitamin aisle and love the skin you're in.
I don't know if you heard about this one or not. A controversy is brewing over the sponsorship of a baseball team for 7-, 8-, and 9-year-old boys in Taylor Mill, Kentucky. Several parents pulled their kids off the team after it was announced Hooters would be the new sponsor. So is Hooters just too sexy for preteen baseball? Joining me, one of the parents, his name is Richard Schwartz, who's there with his 8-year-old son, Colin. Plus, from Atlanta, we have Mike McNeil, who's Vice President of Marketing for Hooters of America. All right, gentlemen, it's good to have you all here. Mr. Schwartz, let me talk to you first. When did you first find out about this, and what was your reaction?
I believe it was about 3 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. My wife called me. It's a Friday afternoon. I was headed to pick up Colin and take him to practice. I was leaving work and on my way home, and she called and she said, you know, I have some disappointing news. And I said, what's that? And she said, I just found out that Hooters is sponsoring the team. You know, and I told her right direct from that point that we were pulling from the team. You know, there's just kind of a integrity issue for my family. What we try to do is instill the values that we want our kids to have, and I made the call.
And so you made a call. You took your son off the team. He's playing now for another team?
No, currently he's not. He, because we're so late in the season, I've contacted a few other teams, and it hasn't been possible to get him on another team at this point.
Well, Colin, how do you feel about that? Do you wish you could play? Are you disappointed?
I wish I could play.
Yeah, okay. Well, down in Atlanta, we have Mike McNeil, who's the Vice President of Marketing for Hooters. Mike, is it appropriate for Hooters to be sponsoring Little League baseball teams around the country? What's your opinion?
Well, Brian, I think the important thing to remember here is that we were asked to be a sponsor, and we've always tried to be good corporate citizens, good members of the communities in which we do business. We were asked to be a sponsor, and we step up to the plate, pardon the pun, and we agreed to be a sponsor of the team. And, you know, we're not trying to make waves here. We're not trying to make a political statement. We were asked to do something good within the community, and we agreed to do that. And I'm certainly glad that the organization itself and many of the other parents that were on the team have elected to continue to allow us to sponsor the team.
Yeah, but I mean, again, let me get back to the point. I mean, we're looking at pictures of Hooters girls there. Is that the kind of image that should be associated with something as wholesome as 9-year-olds playing Little League baseball?
Well, every parent's got to make their own individual decision as to whether or not Hooters is an appropriate place in order to take their children. The reality is that we do about 1 million guests a week in our restaurants. 32% of those customers are female, and about 10% of the parties that we serve have children under the age of 12 in them. You do the math on that, you got about 25,000 families a week that make a decision to go into Hooters every single week. We've got a kids menu. We don't serve hard liquor in the restaurants. The uniform that the girls wear is a cheerleader type uniform. And we certainly think that we don't market ourselves as a kids restaurant or a family restaurant, but certainly many people do make a choice to come in there and do that. And so when asked to be a part of the community and sponsor, we agree.
Well, let me get the other side of that. Richard, some people say, oh, come on, chill out. It's a restaurant. It would have helped some kids play baseball. What's wrong with that?
Well, part of the problem is it's you know, we play a game called how close to the fire can we get instead of how far away. You know, if we're going to talk about integrity, why are we trying to dance close? You know, we want to talk about the moral degradation of our society starting in our kids, and we have to wonder, where does that begin? You know, and for me and my family, it begins with the visualization of things that are out of their control, and part of that involves me as a parent saying, hey, you know, I don't want my son to have the struggles that I had with sexual integrity as he tries to grow up and have relationships.
Well, what is your big concern about Hooters? I mean, other than the skimpy outfits, they have great chicken wings. What is your big problem with them?
And I personally do not have a vendetta against Hooters. I have a problem with them particularly focusing on the kids' teams here. You know, this isn't about Hooters. It's not about wings. It's about kids. And, you know, it's one thing for an adult to make the decision that Hooters has good wings or doesn't and chooses to go in there. It's a whole other thing to put that on our children without them having any to do with it.
Mike, I'll let you have the last word here, and we got to go.
Well, I certainly appreciate where Richard's coming from. I've got an 11-year-old son who's an all-star baseball player, and, you know, I respect the fact that he's made this decision.
Do you take your son to Hooters?
Yes, I do, and my 9-year-old daughter, and as I just gave you the statistics, a lot of other people take their kids to Hooters as well, and our team, as it travels in the summer throughout the Southeast, we eat at Hooters frequently, so a number of people choose to do this. But I certainly respect what this father has to do. We're not trying to make waves at Hooters. We're just trying to be good corporate citizens.
All right, well, we're going to leave the debate right there. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian.
Senator John McCain supporting yet another compromise on the Hill. This time his efforts may help get John Bolton a vote on his appointment to be the UN ambassador. Then, Burt is back. Burt Reynolds makes an appearance in the new version of The Longest Yard. We'll tell you if it's worth a trip to the Cineplex. This is Weekend Live. Brian Wilson sitting in on Saturday for Tony Snow. We'll be back in just a moment.
Your world, Fox News.
Hello, Farmers Health Point. How can I help you?
Hi, this is not just got rear-ended by some yahoo.
Are you okay?
Well, I'm fine. My car's a little busted up, though.
No problem. We'll take care of it.
Farmers Health Point service starts getting things back to normal the moment you call. And it's free with your policy. To find an agent near you, call 1-800-FARMERS.
Get ready for triple the action with all-access editions of 3 great movies. Now with more excitement. Oh, hell no. More adrenaline.
Pizza! Run!
More thrills.
Hold on!
And hours of never-before-seen bonus material. Buy any all-access edition and get movie money for Fantastic Four, coming soon to theaters. Gotcha.
The world is a noisy place. But you can relax in your own peaceful sanctuary. Experience the Quiet Comfort 2 acoustic noise-canceling headphones from Bose. They deliver an unmatched combination of noise reduction, audio performance, and comfortable fit. Owners tell us how musical nuances come through, even in noisy environments. These comfortable headphones electronically identify and reduce noise, while faithfully preserving music or tranquility. Travel and Leisure Golf says these headphones allow you to forget the world outside. Use our risk-free 30-day trial to try the Quiet Comfort 2 headphones. Order by May 31st, 2005 and receive free express shipping. Call today and leave the noise behind.
Defined abs. Everybody wants them, but they're so hard to get.
That's because the real secret to getting great abs involves 2 key factors: variety in training routines and nutrition insights to reduce fat deposits so you can see results.
New from Fitness Made Simple comes 6-pack abs with John Baisdow, the complete abdominal sculpting video. It offers 3 different home workouts and fat-fighting nutritional tips. Call now to order 6-pack abs with John Baisdow.
Fitness Made Simple, bringing real results to real people.
Lose fat, increase energy, reshape your body in record time with Fitness Made Simple's new 45-minute fat-burning workout.
There are no tricky dance moves, no high-impact gyrations, just lightweight training done at a heart-pumping cardio pace to build lean muscle and burn pounds of fat.
Work out at home with fitness celebrity John Baisdow, doing exercises to sculpt your chest, back, shoulders, arms, legs, and abs. Call now or order online at fitnessmadesimple.com.
Fitness Made Simple, bringing real results to real people.
Bit of sad news here. Green Acres star Eddie Albert died of pneumonia at his California home this week. He was 99 years old. Albert's career spanned more than 5 decades, included 2 Academy Award nominations. Albert will always be remembered for the 1960s TV show Green Acres, where he played Oliver Wendell Douglas, a hotshot lawyer who decides that Green Acres is the place to be. Land spreading out so far and wide, just keep Manhattan and give me that countryside. The two remaining members of the British rock band The Who are starting up a new documentary tentatively titled My Generation, Who's Still Who? Band members Peter Townsend and Roger Daltrey hope to show the band's 40-year history of death, drugs, and rock and roll. The film is slated to hit the theaters next year. Actress, singer, teen queen Lindsay Lohan's family drama continues. Her father, Michael Lohan, is off to prison for 1 to 4 years. The charges stem from a 2004 fight, a drunk driving accident, and other incidents as well. And now for more news from the Fox Light, let's bring on Fox's entertainment guy. He's your buddy, Bill McCuddy. Hello, Bill.
Good afternoon. You know, Lindsay's dad has had some trouble with alcohol, and that was one of the things, the myriad of charges. And we're learning now that that happened to our friend Oliver Stone, who can now add a D to the end of his name. He's Oliver Stone, according to some police last night in Los Angeles near Beverly Hills. A routine stop on Sunset Boulevard, and apparently he was exhibiting some characteristics of being inebriated and also had a controlled substance. So he was arrested and faces charges there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reading the press release on this. He rolled into a DUI and license checkpoint on Sunset Boulevard, was arrested for DUI and possession of a controlled substance. So, yeah, you're right about that Oliver Stone thing. That'll be the headline in tomorrow's New York Post. Now, movies this weekend. This Madagascar thing, is it opening up yet?
Yes, it is. We have true Chris Rock movies to talk about. The first one is Madagascar. It's also got Ben Stiller, Jada Pinkett Smith, and some other folks in it. It's not the funniest of these kinds of animated films, like Finding Nemo, but it's right up there, and USA Today says it's the one for the whole family this weekend. Interestingly enough, of the three big movies out right now, this one will probably come in third, make about $40 million. I'm sorry, will come in about second and make about $60 million bucks. Based on how these things have done in the past. The one that is probably going to come in second, though, is the other Chris Rock movie. That one is going to make about $40 million, and that's the remake of The Longest Yard. That's the great Burt Reynolds film. This time Adam Sandler, who I don't exactly think of as a professional football player. He's more of the water boy, really, but here he steps up, gets traded up to the head of the team. James Cromwell plays the warden there, and it's ironic that the original 1974 version had the late Eddie Albert in it, who you were talking about a moment ago. Anyway, this is almost a Xerox of the 1974 version, but critics say that's okay. It runs 96 minutes. It's got a lot of good laughs thanks to Chris Rock. So on the whole, it's worth seeing. Now, what does that mean? Number one is going to be, obviously, it's The Force, which is coming back with a vengeance. Because Star Wars is going to make probably about $70 million this weekend. And get this, in 12 days, will make about $270 million. That's just in this country, on this planet alone. One of the big movies, Brian, by the way, that's coming soon is called Batman Begins. And they sent me a can of black spray paint. So apparently the film has a graffiti theme. I have no idea, but they want all things to be black. And this is coming at the end of the month. It's going to be a very big, the end of next month, a very, very big film.
Yeah, and if you have any little art project at your house, you can just take it home and work on that. Okay, listen, Bill, good to see you.
This is what I used instead of a highlighter in college.
So that's like the stuff you put on your hair, right?
Yeah,
you know? Okay.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
All right, thanks a lot.
Fabulous Baker Boys.
What does an Iraq and Al-Qaeda look like without terror mastermind Abu Musab al-Zarqawi around? We'll consider that scenario. Then here at home, the CIA practices for a fight on the electronic front lines of the war on terror. This is Weekend Live. Back in a minute.
I've always talked fast and loved antiques. Then I got sick and I had to go on chemo. Doctor told me I might become anemic, maybe feel weak, but it slowed me right down. For the first time in 30 years, I was too tired to work. it, Charlie. I had to get my strength back. I asked my doctor about Procrit.
Procrit is for chemotherapy-related anemia in patients with most kinds of cancer. Ask your doctor if Procrit is right for you. Procrit is proven to help rebuild red blood cells, which can mean more strength.
Good to see you.
It's good to see you, Charlie.
Good to be back.
Procrit is not for patients with uncontrolled high blood pressure and may increase the risk of blood clots.
Okay, folks. Let's go.
Call now and learn how Procrit can help you get back the strength you need. Your strength for living.
Yep, I got 2 speeds. Fast and faster.
Turn off the Ambilight function on your Philips flat TV, and it's like going back in time. The only flat TV with Ambilight from Philips. You'll never go back to ordinary TV.
We expose Iran's nuclear threat. Our shocking investigative report uncovers how close they really are, what their deadly ties to terrorism mean for us, and how America could be on the brink of a nuclear disaster.
The world has to act decisively.
Tonight, Chris Wallace hosts a Breaking Point special, Iran, the Nuclear Threat.
There was another deadly string of car bombs in Iraq today, and rumors continue to swirl about the health of Iraq's top terrorist, Abu Musab al-Zarqawi. Andrew Stack is in Baghdad with the very latest on that. Hello, Andrew.
Hello, Brian. Well, the truth is there are so many conflicting reports about Zarqawi's health, it's tough to make heads or tails of any of them. All we can tell you for sure is this. There is an al-Qaeda website that today said Zarqawi's doing just fine and is still in control. However, over the past 2 days, similar websites have made the opposite claim, saying he's wounded and that Muslims should pray for him. Either way, his followers aren't paying much attention to the debate. A deadly string of attacks has continued here in Iraq today. First, outside the main gate of a joint U.S.-Iraqi military base in northern Iraq, 2 car bombs exploded in quick succession. The base located in Sinjar is about 75 miles northwest of Mosul. 5 people were killed, another 40 wounded. And in Saddam's hometown of Tikrit, another car bomb there targeted a police patrol, but only ended up killing innocent civilians. At least 2 people died in the blast, another 24 were wounded. But in Bakuba, it's quite a different story. 3 terrorists managed to blow themselves up while setting up a roadside bomb. This sort of thing happens from time to time, and we don't have to tell you too much. It's good news by coalition forces. As far as they're concerned, they would have been the targets. Meanwhile, Iraqi authorities are confirming the death of a Japanese security consultant abducted by terrorists earlier this month. Akihiko Saito has been missing since his convoy was ambushed. The Sunni militant group Ansar al-Sunnah posted photos of Saito's slain body on an internet site. Moving to western Iraq, Operation New Market is now in its 5th day. 1 U.S. Marine was killed today by a rocket-propelled grenade as more than 1,000 coalition troops try to flush the remaining terrorists out of Haditha. This is the follow-up campaign to Operation Matador, which put followers of Abu Musab al-Zarqawi on the run earlier this month. Now, at least 23 people have died over the past day, including 10 bodies dumped in the Al-Qaim region where Operation Matador took place. We should tell you a similar follow-up operation is about to begin right here in Baghdad. This time, 40,000 Iraqi soldiers will come into the city, set up more than 600 checkpoints, and they will try and sift out all the terrorists who've been causing all the problems in recent weeks. Brian, that's the latest from Baghdad. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Andrew. You know, the face of terror in Iraq is undoubtedly Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, but these days, as you heard, his health and the health of his terrorist organization very much in question. Meanwhile, the face of Iraqi security is set to become distinctly Iraqi with an influx of local troops assigned to patrol the streets of Baghdad. Here to discuss these developing stories is retired Marine Lieutenant Colonel Bill Cowan, former ambassador to Morocco, Mark Ginsburg. Both, of course, are Fox News analysts and good guys to come in and spend time with us on Saturday. Let's talk first about Zarqawi. We've heard these reports. He's hurt. He's mortally wounded. He's okay. What do you believe, Bill?
Well, this is heavy work for intel analysts trying to figure out, Brian, what's right and what's not. I think on the operational side, the way we're conducting operations, we're not going to change anything. Whether Zarqawi's dead or alive, it doesn't matter. My sensing is that all this flurry of activity, he indeed may have been wounded. They may have had concerns about him dying, and therefore his people, those around him, want to get the word out that he might die. You don't want to just get up one day and say he's gone. You don't want suffer that psychological impact. Lay the groundwork. If he survives, they're happy. If he dies, they've all thought about it already.
What do you think?
I think he's wounded, Brian, because the websites that I continue to read, the Arab Islamic radical websites, suggest that he is wounded, and in fact that they even went as far as designating his successor, a lieutenant, to take over for him in the interim. But this is not abnormal, because indeed his organization, which spans years in the Middle East, has had this type of structure going from Europe to Iran to Iraq to Syria, ties with the Hezbollah. So it's not that Abu Musab Zarqawi's injury is going to cause and affect this organization that he created to disintegrate.
What about these reports that we're going to see more Iraqi troops on the ground in Baghdad? I got to believe that's going to help things, Bill.
It's got to help to some degree. I mean, a lot of these troops are going to be new and untested. They're going to be out there. They're going to create a presence. But it's always important to remember that the bad guys we're working against are pretty smart, pretty sophisticated. If they see 635 checkpoints at certain places, they at least know that many places, if not more, to sneak through those checkpoints. So it'll have some impact. It may slow down the insurgency, but it's not going to dramatically alter the landscape inside Baghdad.
But of course, the reason we're so interested in this is the sooner that the Iraqis can stand on their own, the sooner that our boys can start to come back in small groups and eventually, leave the Iraqis standing on their own.
Indeed, but at the same time, Brian, we realize that the generals who've just come back are painting a mixed picture here, because on the one hand, we want to get those troops out there, but in the last report to the Pentagon, there was deep concern that the volume of troops and the magnitude of the training and the speed by which these troops are being trained is not meeting the targets that we had hoped for.
Yeah, that's a concern, isn't it, Bill?
It is, Brian. The positive indicator we're starting to see is more and more Iraqis themselves coming forward and telling about where insurgents are or what's going on, pointing out IEDs. That's the real indicator to us. That's the sign that the people are starting to get tired of the insurgency. They're starting to have a better outlook about the new government, about the U.S. president. So that's the turning point. If we can get more Iraqis to come forward and talk, that's a lot more important than 635 new checkpoints around Baghdad.
All right, let me raise this other issue about what's going on in the region, and that especially has to do with Saudi Arabia, where the King Fahd has gone into a hospital. And yesterday, things sounded a bit ominous as there were requests to pray for his recovery, etc. Today, the word coming out of that region is that the king is doing better. Why are people so nervous about the passing of this king who really hasn't been running Saudi Arabia for many years?
Well, Brian, I'm not that nervous, and I'm not sure anyone should be.
Well, the markets were.
Well, it's understandable, because any gyration of the royal family, because it will cause problems, because it's not so much that when King Fahd passes and his brother, Crown Prince Abdullah, will become king, it is then who becomes Crown Prince. And there's designations of who will be in the hierarchy of the royal family who will ultimately wind up becoming Crown Prince. I'm less concerned about the health of King Fahd and more about who will take over for Abdullah to become Crown Prince.
Are there some figures there that would concern you?
Yes, indeed. For example, the Interior Minister, Prince Naif, who is anti-American. If he winds up becoming, in effect, the Crown Prince, that's not good for the oil market or good for the Yankees.
All right,
good for the brothers.
We're going to leave it right there. Good discussion, guys. Thanks for joining us. The CIA conducting a cyber war game this weekend geared to simulate a major internet attack by enemy computer hackers. Catherine Herridge is live in our Washington bureau with that story. Catherine, this sounds like we're trying to think ahead and outsmart the bad guys before they come after us.
Brian, bin Laden's primary goal is to really destroy the U.S. economy. And a good way to do that, though it's pretty tough, would be with a cyber attack. So you get the CIA, Homeland Security, and they do these war games, so they learn how to identify a threat and how to respond. And ultimately what they're really worried about is sort of a combination attack, let's say a suicide bombing in a mall or in a large area, coupled with a cyber attack which would cripple communications. So it would be hard for first responders to get to the scene. That would be a swarming attack, they like to call it, and it would have a really devastating impact.
Well, now, is this a real threat? I mean, is this something we should truly be worried about?
Well, there is evidence that al-Qaeda has looked at cyber attacks. For example, there was an individual who was convicted in connection to the Bali bombing, the nightclub bombing in 2002, Iman Sumadra. And in an autobiography he wrote, he talked about hacking and cyber attacks and how it's such an attractive form of attack.
And also, what sort of systems might they attack if they decide, obviously they're not going to go after the Drudge Report or something like that, or eBay, but what are they going to go after that has an internet connection?
Well, when people hear cyber attack, their eyes kind of roll back, but really this could be the most devastating type of attack. For example, Homeland Security has looked at a cyber attack scenario. Imagine if the entire banking system in this country was shut down. None of the ATMs worked. none of the credit cards worked, or all of the payrolls were messed up, or even an attack that would cripple the electrical grid. That is what a cyber attack can do. It really has two impacts. One is the economic, it's billions of dollars, but perhaps the more significant is that it has this huge psychological impact on the American people. And that's really what this war on terror is all about.
I do remember that at one point I heard some military planners in this country say they came in war games that close to being able to shut down part of the American electrical grid. So it is indeed doable.
Yeah, I mean, the blackout a couple of years ago, though there was no evidence of a terror attack, I mean, that was certainly a case where, you know, you had no power, communications were lost. If you had an attack with conventional explosives, it's really devastating.
All right, we'll leave it right there. Catherine, thank you. 2 bombs exploded at a busy market in central Indonesia. At least 20 people were killed, 40 others wounded. Police say they have no idea on the motive for the explosion. Investigators also found a third unexploded bomb near a church. There were fresh examples of the shaky truce between Palestinian militants and Israeli forces, and reaction is pouring in over Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas's recent meeting with President Bush here in Washington. Amy Kellogg is live in Jerusalem with more on that. Hello, Amy.
Hi, Brian. Well, for some months now, there has been a truce between Palestinian militants and Israel, but something that happened yesterday, Brian, just proves that that truce remains on the verge of falling apart. Israeli soldiers arrested a young Palestinian man at a West Bank checkpoint. They say he was carrying explosives and one of the belts suicide bombers typically wear. Soldiers detonated those explosives on the spot. They also say that 2 days ago, they arrested a 15-year-old Palestinian who was carrying 2 pipe bombs. They add that in the last 2 months, there have been 15 Palestinians under the age of 18 arrested trying to detonate explosives at Israeli checkpoints or trying to smuggle explosives into Israel. Meanwhile, people here continue to spin the results of the meeting Thursday between President Bush and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas in Washington, D.C. Palestinian officials have called that meeting positive, friendly, serious, and sending the right messages. But I just returned from the Palestinian Gaza Strip, where some people were indifferent and unimpressed because they felt there was no new substance to the meeting. Of course, Brian, President Bush called for an end to Jewish settlement expansion on the West Bank, but he has said that before, and settlement expansion continues even on the outskirts of Jerusalem, half of which the Palestinians hope to claim for a future state. So Palestinians are saying they want to see that settlement expansion stopped, not to hear that it must be stopped. Now, that said, the Palestinians are not keeping to their roadmap commitment to dismantle militant groups, and Bush reportedly privately, not publicly, pressed that issue with President Abbas. That is the latest from Jerusalem. Back to you, Brian.
Amy Kellogg, thank you much. Days after hostilities cease in the battle over federal judges, the fight heats up over John Bolton, the president's pick to be the new UN ambassador. Kelly Wright is here in Washington with more on that story. Kelly, it seems that this week we've seen John McCain play the role of broker in the Senate. What can you tell us about that?
Brian, you could almost call him a mediator as well, which of course would also typify him being a broker. For the moment, McCain has actually been involved in making conciliatory overtures between Republicans and Democrats to actually move the Senate to vote for President Bush's judicial nominees, and he's also trying to do the same thing right now with the nomination of John Bolton. Earlier in the week on Monday night, he actually hosted the meeting that resulted in 7 Republicans and 7 Democrats averting a showdown over filibusters of judicial nominees. And of course, the result of that is that Priscilla Owen went ahead to be confirmed. And so actually what he's trying to do now is pave the way for a compromise to bring the confirmation of John Bolton to a final vote as well.
And let me ask you about this, if I could. Is he going to be playing the same role during the John Bolton thing? You think he'll step up to the plate again in all this? Or walk away and wash his hands of it?
I don't see him walking away from it. McCain was actually stunned along with other Republicans when the Democrats and one independent were able to delay the vote on Bolton until after the Memorial Day recess. And of course, what they were doing, the Democrats, they were demanding that the White House first hand over classified documents relating to Bolton's conduct. And on Friday, Senator McCain signaled his support for making that deal happen. He told Fox News that he supports Bolton, but would like to see that something happen between the White House and Congress. He went on to say the fact is that John Bolton, as a result of the hearings, in his view, has come out more qualified than he was when he went in. And he thinks that they can resolve this over the recess and get this thing done and get John Bolton to work.
And these documents, very quickly, it seems to me there's like zero chance the White House is going to cough them up, right?
Oh, you're absolutely right. White House Press Secretary Scott McClellan said the information will not be released at all, and said basically that he perceives this as being about partisan politics and not the documents. Basically, he went on to say that the Senate has the information that they need to go ahead and do an up or down vote, a final vote on confirming John Bolton.
All right, thank you much, Kelly Wright. We appreciate it. And by the way, if you haven't heard this next story, this is astonishing. I mean, truly astonishing. 60 years after World War II, there are new reports that 2 Japanese Imperial Army soldiers may have been found in the mountains of the southern Philippines. Japan immediately dispatched diplomats to interview the 2 men, but officials say the presence of hundreds of journalists on the scene is creating something of a security nightmare. That region of the Philippines is infested with Muslim and communist guerrillas and is notorious for rebel attacks and kidnappings. Speculation is the 2 men, both in their 80s, were separated from their division back in World War II and stayed on for fear they would face court-martial if they returned to Japan. Astonishing stuff. Well, how much would you pay to pick up the phone and have a doctor diagnose you right there on the line? We'll introduce you to one company that has just such a service. Then, sailors and airmen take New York by storm. It's Fleet Week in the Big Apple. We'll take you live to the USS JFK. This is Weekend Live. Back in a moment.
Saving you up to 60% on cooling costs. You'd think I'd get a pat on the back. Let me rethink that.
The Carrier Infinity System, the most energy-efficient system you can buy. Carrier, turn to the experts.
Okay, Mr. Jones, I'll just add up the closing costs on your new home loan, and you'll be all done.
Thinking about getting a home equity loan? Don't get stuck paying a lot of fees. Get a flat fee second mortgage. The total fee is just $49. Log on or call 1-800-DITEC-1.
A memo went out. Did you get it? It's calling for an end to individuality. It says that movies should be formulaic. It demands that style be ordinary. And sedans, well, they should just blend in. No leather interiors or navigation systems or powerful V6 engines. Funny, we never got that memo.
This year, he'll spend 32 hours trimming bushes, 61 hours mowing the lawn, 52 hours watering flowers. But he won't have to refinish his deck for another 4 years. Behr Premium Weatherproofing Wood Sealer and Finish with silicone. 4-year protection against rain, sun, wind, and snow, guaranteed. Behr. Good, better, Behr.
Shake up your ideas about popcorn. Introducing new Smart Balance Microwave Popcorn, the world's first to help improve cholesterol with no hydrogenated oil and no trans fatty acids. Smart Balance Microwave Popcorn and Smart Balance Buttery Spreads contain a patented balance of vegetable oils to help improve the ratio of good to bad cholesterol. Enjoy delicious Smart Balance Microwave Popcorn, the great tasting popcorn that's actually good for you.
Federal health officials are looking into rare reports that some men who used the drug Viagra suffered from deteriorating vision. According to the FDA spokeswoman, they have not yet found evidence proving a link between the drug and blindness. 23 million worldwide have taken the Viagra, and later this hour we'll have a Viagra expert here to discuss the possible connection. A Harvard panel says a CDC study underestimated U.S. obesity-related deaths and the death risk from being overweight. The Harvard panel also disagrees with the CDC's report that obesity, mild obesity, might have a positive effect. Harvard professor of epidemiology, Dr. Joanne Manson, says it's biologically implausible that being overweight reduces mortality, and there is a clear increase in mortality among those who are overweight. Have you ever called your doctor to make an appointment and the office said, well, we can get you in a couple of weeks? Well, now a company called Teladoc has doctors on call, and we mean that literally. For a fee, you can call Teladoc and a doctor will diagnose you over the phone. Joining me live from Dallas to talk about this new cure for non-emergency ER visits is Dr. Roger Moshagimba. and one of his patients, Peter Beasley. Thank you both for joining us. Good to have you here. Doctor, let me start with you if I could, please. Tell me how this works and what kind of things will you diagnose, and at what point do you say, I'm sorry, you actually need to go see a real doctor face-to-face?
Sure. Well, the way it works is that members can sign up for this benefit, and when they want to call the doctor, they call an 800 number, and then the call center sends the doctor a text message to his page or cell phone, and then we as the doctor, we log on to a secure website and see the patient's name and phone number, and we can view their medical history, and then we go ahead and give them a call and talk to them about what their problem is. And if we can help them, then we go ahead with that.
How long does that process take? How long from the time you contact Teledocs do you hear back from a doctor somewhere?
The policy that the company has is within 3 hours, but usually it's within 1 hour.
Okay. What kind of cases will you use this thing, and in what cases do you say, I'm sorry, you really need to go in, see a doctor, and be checked out physically?
Right. Well, we're trying to be very conservative. There's certain things that we can diagnose on the phone and certain things that we can't. For example, most of the calls are very low in medical complexity, you know, like someone's allergies are flaring up, or they've had a sore throat because their coworker has had a sore throat, or they've had a cough for a couple of weeks and they can't get rid of it, something like that. Now, if somebody calls and they're through our history taking on the phone, it sounds like you know, that they might have more of a severe medical problem, then we'll just tell them that they have to call their regular doctor or go to the emergency room.
Let me talk to Peter Beasley, who's there with you. Peter, you had a problem, and it was one of those kind of low-level medical things that are problematic but needs a doctor's help now and then. You got into some, what, poison oak or poison ivy?
Yes, and I'm somewhat embarrassed about it because I've done it time and time again, and I know it's poison ivy, and yet again, years later, I developed a problem from working in the yard. And my lifestyle was very busy, and it's very hard to take time out and get to a doctor, so it's very convenient to be able to call at 10 p.m., 1 a.m. if need be, and get diagnosed and get some medication called into a 24-hour pharmacy.
And so the whole process took about an hour in your case?
Generally, the time that I've used the service, I get a call back in about 40 minutes to maybe an hour and a half.
All right, and so that wasn't something you felt you needed to go into a doctor's office and sit for 2 hours to see a real doctor, right?
Absolutely. In fact, I feel I get better attention in many cases because it is a doctor that is diagnosing the problem over the phone, and so they have to really pay attention to my symptoms and what I say. And that hasn't always been the case in person.
Dr. Moshe Gemba, one last question. I mean, some people say that part of being a doctor is to look at a guy, to check the blood pressure, to check their pulse, to get eyeballs on a person when they come into a doctor's office. And many times through that kind of casual examination, they spot up on things that are problematic and need serious attention. Well, they're not going to get that on the phone, are they?
No, they won't, and we're not trying to do that. We're trying to take care of the immediate concerns of whoever calls in. On the other hand, you know, we're taught in medical school that most of the diagnosis that we're going to make is going to be made from the history, talking to the patient. And then our physical exam, lab test, and all that comes after that is generally used to support our initial impression.
All right, we're going to have to leave it right there. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. There was a dramatic close yesterday in the Michael Jackson case. We'll tell you what happened and how it might impact the jury. And later we'll talk to a Virginia woman who put a link to Florida Governor Jeb Bush's Social Security number on her website. Well, why would she do such a thing? To make a point, and when we come back, we'll tell you what that point is. Stay with us.
When you go home, tell them for us, for your tomorrow, we gave our today.
When you're smiling, when you're smiling.
Kyocera printers and copiers. Simpler to use, network reliable, low cost of ownership.
The whole world smiles with you.
They're people-friendly, only from Kyocera. Looking for the perfect home? Start your search at Prudential.com. Now you'll find more listings nationwide with more facts and photos and a Prudential real estate professional who could make it all
a snap. Prudential.com. It's where you'll find the perfect home.
The all-new Hemi-powered Jeep Grand Cherokee. With more power and torque than anything in its class, it leaves just about anything in the dust, even on pavement. The off-road legend continues on-road. During the Jeep Memorial Day sales event, get great deals, plus May bonus cash and make no monthly payments until November. Hurry and soon.
Ready, 2, 1, launch. I lost it. I don't see it either. Whoa!
Graduated from a dial-up to a high-speed internet connection, then you're ready to save. Visit Vonage.com or call 1-800-930-4VON. That's Vonage.com or 800-930-4VON. Also available at Best Buy, Circuit City, and Staples. Vonage, the broadband phone company.
Hot flashes, mood swings, irritability, and a lack of desire for intimacy? Sound familiar? You're not alone. Millions of women experience the same thing. Avlamil Complete is an effective, non-prescription, natural supplement designed for women of all ages who have undergone hormonal changes due to childbirth, menopause, or hysterectomy. Call now and get a free trial cycle of Avlamil, a free sample of Avlamil's new intimacy gel, and free copy of the book, Lifelong Intimacy. Hot flashes, mood swings, irritability, and a lack of desire for intimacy? Sound familiar? You're not alone. Millions of women experience the same thing. Avlamil Complete is an effective, non-prescription, natural supplement designed for women of all ages who have undergone hormonal changes due to childbirth, menopause, or hysterectomy. Call now and get a free trial cycle of Avlamil, a free sample of Avlamil's new intimacy gel, and free copy of the book, Lifelong Intimacy.
A Manhattan banker picked the wrong jogger to flash. Wearing nothing but a condom, John D. Kelly ambushed a female jogger along a trail on the Jersey Shore. The jogger turned out to be a police officer and threatened Kelly with pepper spray. He grabbed his clothes and took off down to the shore, but the quick-thinking cop then took off his suspect's license plate number as he drove off. Unfortunately, investigators couldn't find him for a while. 11 days later, he surrendered to the Union Beach, New Jersey Police Department. Police are looking into the possibility Kelly was involved in other flash attacks. Well, the defense abruptly rested yesterday in the Michael Jackson case after the jury was shown a videotape with Jackson's accuser on it. Claudia Cowan is in our Los Angeles Bureau with more on this story. Hello, Claudia.
Hello, Brian. That's right. The judge told the jurors they have now heard all the evidence in this case, and now it's all over, except for the closing arguments. Trial watchers had expected courtroom drama yesterday, but not both sides resting. Defense lawyers had said they were planning to call Jackson's accuser to rebut an hour-long videotape from 2003 in which the then 13-year-old boy tells investigators about the alleged molestation for the first time. The judge said the tape, which was played yesterday, could only be used to illustrate the accuser's attitude and demeanor. In a low voice and with his head down, he described how Jackson molested him several times and that he kept telling the singer to stop. In the opinion of many court observers, the young accuser looked reluctant and embarrassed, not scripted or coached in a scheme to shake down Michael Jackson, as the defense has claimed. Legal experts say putting the boy on the stand after that tape could have been very risky.
The defense was dealt a bad hand when they allowed the prosecution to play this tape, and you know the jury's gonna have to decide what they have to make of it. But if that boy had hit the stand live and had broken down emotionally in front of the jury and connected, I'll tell you that could have spelled the doom for Michael Jackson. I think this is a complete cliffhanger at this point.
And here's what's next. No court on Monday because of the holiday. On Tuesday, the judge and lawyers will meet to come up with jury instructions. Closing arguments are set to begin on Wednesday, and then, Brian, it will be up to the jury to decide how this case will end. Back to you.
Claudia Cowan, thank you. You know, the next time you call a product help center, there may be more than just an operator at your service. We'll tell you about some high-tech software that reads your emotions right over the phone. Then, the Navy shows off its ships at the annual Fleet Week in Manhattan. Wait till you hear just how much goes into operating these massive warships. You just won't believe it. Back in just a moment.
Hi, Billy Mays here for the amazing new hardwood floor care system from Orange Glow. If your floors are dull, dirty, dingy, or damaged, clean and refinish them in minutes. The secret to the system is Orange Glow's unique refinisher, made with true polyurethane for a protective coat that shines like a mirror. This sander simulates years of wear and tear damage. With this amazing refinisher, quickly restore the shine and beauty. Its self-leveling formula fills in the scratches and eliminates the dull spots. Orange Glow's refinisher was developed by Bona Chemi, one of the world's most trusted names in professional wood floor finishing. Used at Carnegie Hall, famous museums, and basketball courts. It restores the shine on hardwoods like cherry, maple, oak, even parquet, and it shines for months. Put the shine and protection back in your floors with Orange Glow. Call now and you'll receive a bottle of Orange Glow refinisher along with mop and applicator pads for only 2 easy payments of $19.99. But call right now and you'll also get Orange Glow's new hardwood floor cleaner and the Allura Fiber cleaning pad. The Orange Glow cleaner tackles dried-on sticky stains like wine, coffee, and juice, cuts through tough scuff marks, and removes crayon with ease. Ordinary mops push dirt around, but the Allura Fiber pad grabs and traps those messy spills and locks them in. We'll also include this revolutionary Allura Fiber dusting pad. It works using a static charge and removes dust and pet hair. You get it all. The Orange Glow hardwood refinisher, cleaner, mop, and 3 premium pads. But call right now and we'll supersize your order, a huge value for only 2 payments of $19.99. Protect your hardwood investment. Restore the shine with Orange Glow. This offer is not available in stores, so you gotta call now.
Call now to order your supersized Orange Glow hardwood floor refinishing system, including our hardwood floor cleaner, Allura Fiber mop, and 3 premium pads for only 2 payments of $19.99. Call 1-800-520-8199. Call now.
Will you spend your retirement sitting in a comfy chair, watching the world go by? Or will you be out there with your sleeves rolled up, changing the very shape of it, saying, "Hello, future"? Call your advisor about the powerful resources of Lincoln Financial Group.
Time for a quick check of today's headlines. Greg Jarrett is standing by at the Fox News desk in New York. Hello, Greg.
Hi, Brian. Hello, everyone. 2 bombs explode at a very busy marketplace in eastern Indonesia. At least 22 people now reported to have been killed. 40 others have been wounded. The State Department is saying no Americans have been reported injured so far. Now, witnesses do say there was a small explosion at first, then followed by a bigger blast about 15 minutes later. A third unexploded bomb was found nearby at a church. All U.S. missions in Indonesia have now been closed since Thursday due to security threats. Well, the Pentagon promising to release information backing up its base closings plan. Now, lawmakers had asked Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld for that data. They hope to use it to persuade an independent commission reviewing the closings to remove certain bases from the list. The Defense Department says it'll hand the material over by next Tuesday. We are learning Director Oliver Stone was arrested in Beverly Hills last night. Cops say he was stopped at a licensed checkpoint on Sunset Boulevard, then showed signs of intoxication. Stone was charged with DUI and possession of a controlled substance. He was released this morning after posting a $15,000 bond. And that's a quick check of some of the latest headlines. Now back to Brian Wilson in Washington and more of Weekend Live. Brian?
All right, thank you much, sir. Thousands of sailors are in the Big Apple this week for the annual New York City Fleet Week. The sailors and Marines will participate in Memorial Day parades, volunteer with local communities, and experience the city's sights. We are going to talk to the man who's responsible for organizing all the supplies, and this is very important. He makes sure the ship has enough food to serve 16,000 meals a day. Joining us live from aboard the USS JFK to talk about life on the big ship and the festivities this weekend is Lieutenant Commander Chris Parker. It's good to have you here. Now tell me exactly what your title is and what it is that you're exactly responsible for. Pretty much making sure everything that is needed on the ship is on the ship?
Yes, indeed. I'm the assistant supply officer on board. We've got 12 different divisions on board, 400 some odd folks, great sailors that are here to basically make sure that the ship runs the way it's supposed to. We feed everybody, do the laundry on board, make sure we have the part support we've got, wardroom, chief's mess. So, you know, post office, we do basically all the support services on board the ship.
So I would have guessed that you're a pretty popular guy, and everybody's always asking you for, can you get me, can you get me? You're kind of like the radar of the ship, right?
Yes, actually myself and all the other officers in the supply department, we kind of end up as the focal point, but it's all of our folks that actually do all the tough work there. We get to basically take the credit for it.
Tell me about your ship. I mean, I'm looking at some statistics about the USS JFK. It's astonishing when you think how big these aircraft carriers are. You've got 4.5 acres of flight deck. I mean, that's astonishing.
It's a huge size. One of the other ships that's here was the first one I was on before. And it's amazing to step from a small ship onto a large deck like this. The scale is incredible. Everything, the scale is amazing. 24-hour type operations, you know, 5,000 people, vice a couple hundred on one of the smaller ships. And I tell you, it keeps us hopping, that's for certain.
And so tell me what it means to come into Manhattan and be a part of Fleet Week. Are the guys all pretty excited about being in the big city?
They love it. New York has opened their arms to JFK and to the rest of the fleet out here. You basically can't buy a drink or a meal for yourself. The city has just been tremendously supportive. As you look out around the flight deck here, you can see, you know, we've had a few thousand visitors here this morning already, and we're gearing up for several more days of the same if the weather holds.
And I should say, I misspoke. I said the guys are excited. There are 900 women aboard this ship.
Indeed, integral part of the crew.
All right, so you guys have a good time, all right? Enjoy yourself out there.
Thank you so much. It's great here.
It is so good to have you, and thank you so much for what you do. We appreciate it, and I know America does as well. Have a good time.
It's our pleasure to serve.
All right. Now, the next time you call your phone company, credit card provider, or cable TV carrier, maybe your internet service, they'll tell you your phone call is being recorded. It may just work out in your favor. A new emotion detection software has been created to monitor and alert companies when callers start sounding a bit stressed out about how their interaction is going. Joining me now, the president and CEO of NICE Systems Incorporated, the company that created this software. Mr. Aaron Gorov is here with us to talk about that. I had just this experience this week. I didn't know we were going to be doing this today, but I called an internet provider trying to work out a technical issue on a computer. I ended up in one of those things where the computer-generated voice asks me a bunch of questions and I answer it. Is that the kind of stuff you do?
We don't do the kind of stuff that automatically asks you these questions. What we do, Brian, is actually record the calls, the interactions, automatically listen to and analyze what's being said on the calls, the level of emotion that's displayed, and then help the service provider, the internet provider in your case, like you mentioned, provide a better customer service to you.
All right, so if I'm getting frustrated, how do you know that?
Well, what the software does, it captures an emotional baseline at the beginning of the call. And then during the call, it identifies any deviations from this emotional baseline. So if you get excited, upset, or happy for that matter, the software will kick in and detect that.
And so if I really want to get like a supervisor on the line, the quickest way to do that is get upset, is what you're telling me, right?
No, not really. What we are trying to do, Brian, is make sure that the service providers, regardless of the vertical in the industry, do a better job in actually hearing your voice. And the fact of the matter is that these businesses, these companies do care about your level of satisfaction. What they're finding it difficult to do is to listen to all of these calls, because we're talking about millions and millions of interactions every day. Using technology today, they can listen to all of these calls and make sure that your issues are addressed effectively.
All right, so what are the kinds of words that your computer screens for?
The application can detect specific keywords and key phrases, and those words and phrases would be defined by yourself, by the company. We do not specifically recommend that you search for any one word. It's really up to you in terms of your business and what you're looking for.
But safe to say that if I get on the phone and I blurt out the word in a very irritated way, cancel, I'm going to cancel my service, that gets somebody's attention, doesn't it?
Absolutely true. The word cancel my subscription. I'd like to hear about the cancellation policy. Regardless of the level of emotion you display, that will trigger somebody's attention. If in addition to it you become excited, again, positively or negatively, in addition to identifying the words, the software will also identify the level of emotion.
All right, so that's very interesting. Now, how many companies around the U.S. have your software?
65% of the Fortune 100 companies have been using our technology from NICE Systems for many years, originally for liability recording since the mid-90s for quality monitoring. But this specific capability, the most recent technology, was launched last year, and we're seeing more and more companies sign up and adopt the technology and implement it.
Well, that's fascinating stuff, and I think we've all, if we're alert, cunning, and sly, have learned a thing about how to cut through the process. Good to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian.
All right. Well, just get a little irritated. Throw out the word cancel. And boy, they'll get somebody on the line for you real quick. Time to get a look now at what's on tap for Fox News Live, which is coming up at 2 o'clock. And, of course, that'll be hosted by your friend and mine, Paige Hopkins. Paige, what do you got going?
Oh, well, thanks, Brian. Well, we are all remembering our troops this Memorial Day weekend, and we're going to talk to a little boy, this is an amazing story, who actually had to fight to pay tribute at his local cemetery. All 9-year-old Colin Kelly wanted to do was place flowers on the graves of our fallen servicemen and women, but he wasn't allowed. Can you believe that? Well, the cemetery commissioners told him only blood relatives are allowed to place flowers on graves. Well, Colin wasn't about to give up and go home. We're going to talk to him about his legal battle to honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice. He's only 9 years old. This is an amazing story. It's coming up at 2 p.m. Eastern on Fox News Live. Brian?
You know, here in Washington, we've got this thing called Rolling Thunder. We can actually, I can hear the choppers driving by the studio right now, where thousands and thousands and thousands of big motorcycles, big chrome hogs come across the Memorial Bridge. Guess who's going to be there tomorrow for us?
Who?
Lieutenant Colonel Bill Cowan in full biker regalia is going to be there.
Oh, that is going to be great.
So you want to be sure and check in to see that tomorrow. It'll be worth the price of admission. Hey, Paige, thanks a lot. See you soon. Bye-bye. The FDA is looking into the link between Viagra and vision loss among its users. We'll talk to an expert about these claims. And we want to remind you one more time that Tony Snow is back on the radio full-time. You can go to TonySnow.com or find the radio station area that carries his program. And we can tell you now, we're very pleased to announce that Tony is scheduled to return to this Saturday slot right here. He'll take back over Weekend Live Saturday. We're estimating now that will take place in roughly mid-June. So good news there. Everyone will be glad to see Tony back in the saddle here as well. We'll be back after the break. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Specialist Joshua McCoy from DeQuincy, Louisiana. I'm here in Baghdad. I'd like to give a shout out to my future wife, tell her I love her. Wish my family and friends a happy Memorial Day. I love y'all.
The 2005 Hyundai Santa Fe comes with V6 power, standard. 4 airbags, standard. Traction control system and ABS, standard. With more cargo space than Escape or Equinox. Plus, America's best warranty. The 2005 Hyundai Santa Fe. And now at your Hyundai dealer, the Santa Fe comes with $1,500 cash back or 1.9% financing.
This year, he'll spend 32 hours trimming bushes, 61 hours mowing the lawn, 52 hours watering flowers. But he won't have to refinish his deck for another 4 years. Behr Premium Weatherproofing Wood Sealer and Finish with silicone. 4-year protection against rain, sun, wind, and snow, guaranteed. Behr. Good, better, Behr.
This is Carol. She's been called hippie, preppy, yuppie, protester, Democrat, Republican, mom, CFO, CEO, cancer patient, cancer survivor, fundraiser, spokesperson, caregiver, and soon-to-be world traveler. Reaching retirement is no small achievement. We'll help you make the most of it. Introducing Fidelity Retirement Income Advantage. Before you retire, call today for a free retirement income planning consultation at 800-FIDELITY.
Looking for a hotel that the kids will enjoy too?
send in the experts. When you use Hotels.com, it's like sending in a team of experts to check out everything you need to know about hotels. So log on or call our certified hotel agents 24/7 to help you find the perfect hotel at the perfect price. Like Orlando from just $45.95. Hotels.com. Best prices, best places, guaranteed.
Saudi Arabian officials say King Fahd is in stable condition today, one day after being rushed to the hospital for unspecified tests. The move sparked all kinds of rumors of the king's imminent demise and sent oil prices skyrocketing. Our Steve Harrigan is live on the phone for Riyadh with the very latest on this. Steve, what's the word today?
Brian, Saudi officials have told Fox News that the king right now is in stable condition. Of course, he's the absolute monarch of the world's largest oil producer, so any concerns about his health did raise worldwide concern. Apparently, he had pneumonia-like symptoms. He was hospitalized Friday and underwent some treatment. He had water drained from his lungs. Now, the alarms about the seriousness of his condition grew serious on Friday after state-controlled newspapers asked the people to pray for his recovery. Should this end badly, should it end in death, the succession, they say, would be clear. It would go to his half-brother, Crown Prince Abdullah. But we've seen struggles for power before inside the kingdom. They are often generational, sometimes between brothers and nephews over succession. In 1975, Saudi King Faisal was assassinated by one of his nephews. That being said, the streets here are ordinary, no signs of extraordinary security, and the Saudi government press agency is saying that the king is in good health. They are blaming biased television reporting for reports about any emergency situation. Brian, back to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Steve. Sounds like things are maybe a little better off today than they were yesterday. Of course, the world market's watching very closely anytime anything happens in Saudi Arabia that might cause some concern. Now, as we reported earlier in the broadcast, federal health officials are examining reports of blindness among some men using the impotence drug Viagra. The Food and Drug Administration is investigating but says it has no evidence that the drug is to blame. Here to discuss this latest news, Dr. Abraham Morgentaler, who is author of the book Viagra Myth. Doctor, good to have you here with me. I know that you have your issues about Viagra. What about these latest reports?
Well, you know, so many people take Viagra that a story like this about a serious medical issue like blindness is going to make a lot of people very, very scared and nervous. But I think what's important to realize is that Viagra and the medicines like it, Cialis and Levitra, are actually some of the safest medicines that are around. They've been extensively studied. And we really have to be careful before we get too concerned about reports like this.
But clearly, I am told, I don't know this firsthand, I must tell you, but I am told that if you read the labels on any of these drugs, they talk about how one of the side effects can be changes in vision.
Right, but this is completely different. You know, it's almost a joke in the past, you know, with Viagra that people would take a pill and then what they see is a change in the lights. They get like a bluish tinge that they see. This is something that's completely different, a much more concerning report. And what this report really comes down is there's a group in Minnesota that found 7 patients who had not blindness, but they had impaired vision in one eye sometime after taking Viagra. These events are rare. In the tens of thousands of patients that were studied during clinical trials for Viagra, there wasn't one case of this. So, you know, a lot of things, we find a lot of associations in medicine. People who are in a certain group, like obesity or hypertension, may have something else associated with it. But it doesn't necessarily mean that one thing caused the other.
And am I correct in understanding that the people who are prone to ED also might be prone to having eye problems to begin with, correct?
That's exactly right. So all of these men had either high blood pressure, high lipids, high cholesterol, and basically people who are at risk for bad blood vessels can get a whole sort of problems, including these visual problems and erectile dysfunction. So there's a big overlap.
All right, so if you're taking Viagra now, what should you do? Keep taking it and just watch for further studies? Do you feel like it's, or should it be, is it time to reconsider the use of this drug?
No, not at all. These drugs are extremely safe. As I mentioned before, they've been studied extensively, as much as any drug ever, and they're remarkably safe. Most of the side effects we see are really nuisance side effects, things like headache or the face gets warm or stuffy nose. These are safe medicines. People who are taking them should feel very comfortable, I think, going on to take them. At the same time, if the FDA is looking into it, I think that that's very, very reasonable.
And the thing is, though, the FDA looks into anything like this, don't they?
Right. I mean, you know, the example that I would give is that if it's icy in Boston, which it is for too many months of the year, and somebody has a chicken salad and then they step outside and they slip on the ice, somebody could say, well, maybe it was the chicken salad that made you slip. And if you get 3 or 4 of those guys, all of a sudden the FDA is going to investigate it. But the problem is that it was icy, and these men who get these vision problems already are at risk with bad blood vessels.
We got it.
One thing I do want to add, though, which is that men who have erectile dysfunction, it means that there may be something wrong with their blood vessels, and some of the new data suggests that these men may be at increased risk for other vascular events like heart attacks and strokes. And there's now a push for some of these men to get evaluated more completely by their physicians.
All right, good enough. Good to have you with us. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
Housing sales continue to be red hot in many parts of the country, but some buyers may be risking everything just to get a low monthly payment. I mean, you're talking you could lose it all here. Details when we come back.
Introducing the extraordinary E-Trade Complete. Be brilliant with your banking, trading, and investing all on one page. Be visionary and see where your money might be falling through the cracks and exactly how to stop it. Be all-powerful with a revolutionary security device that changes your password every 60 seconds. In other words, be master of your domain.
Oh, there's my earring.
At E-Trade Financial, we keep challenging the ordinary to help investors be extraordinary.
How do the professionals fight bugs? They put down a barrier that stops them dead. Now you can too. Introducing Ortho Home Defense Max. With one easy application inside and out, Ortho's exclusive InvisiShield technology forms a barrier, killing the bugs you have, stopping new ones from coming in. All season long, guaranteed. New Ortho Home Defense Max. Kill bugs like a pro.
Menopause. It's more than hot flashes and mood swings. It's about gaining weight. In places we never gained weight before. But now, there's Estrin D, the first diet pill specifically developed to help menopausal and premenopausal women lose weight. With Estrin D, losing weight is easy again. Estrin D, the first and only diet pill specifically developed to help menopausal and premenopausal women lose weight.
Call 1-800-552-0048. That's 1-800-552-0048.
The amazing Little Giant ladder is the strongest, safest, most versatile ladder in the world. But it's more than just one ladder. It's actually 24 ladders in one. With the Little Giant ladder system, you can easily work over and around obstacles, comfortably access your roof and rain gutters, quickly hang Christmas lights, clean your windows in no time, replace light bulbs, easily work around trees and shrubs, and even paint those hard-to-reach areas. Just think of what you could accomplish with your Little Giant. You'll save time and money with the unique Little Giant scaffolding feature, and you can safely work over stairs and uneven surfaces. Ordinary ladders just can't compare to the Little Giant ladder system, and it stores in just 4.5 feet of space, so you can easily maneuver the Little Giant through tight spaces and even transport it in your car. Call right now to find out about our limited time special offer. Don't pass this opportunity up. Call 1-800-LADDERS. That's 1-800-LADDERS. That's 1-800-LADDERS.
How would you like the power to change from this to this? Join the thousands of men and women who are changing their bodies and lives with our best-selling videos hosted by fitness celebrity John Basow.
Fitness Made Simple gives you the power to change. The power to change your body, the power to change your life.
Order our power package today and get the original Fitness Made Simple workout and nutrition video, plus AM/PM workouts, John's popular morning and evening exercise video for only $29.95. That's 2 videos for the price of 1. Call now.
Fitness Made Simple, bringing real results to real people.
Computer giant Microsoft severed ties yesterday with Ralph Reed, a Republican lobbyist who once headed the Christian Coalition and is now running for lieutenant governor in the state of Georgia. The move came 1 month after liberal activists urged Microsoft to quit using Reed as a political consultant, upset the software company had pulled its support for a gay rights bill it had backed in the past. The company has since said it will support such legislation in the future. It was a very slow week on Wall Street as investors got ready for the big Memorial Day getaway this weekend. Both the Dow Jones Industrial Average and the S&P rose less than 1% for the week. Tech-savvy NASDAQ climbed 1.4%. Investors have some key economic reports to look forward to next week, including consumer confidence, auto sales, and unemployment. Crude oil prices jumped to almost $52 a barrel yesterday. Analysts say reports of Saudi Arabia's King Fahd's ill health, coupled with the expected demand for gas over the Memorial Day holiday, are behind that price jump. And more than 31 million Americans expected to hit the roads over the next 3 days. That's more than last year, when prices at the pump were on average 6 cents a gallon lower. And you might need some extra cash if you're flying Northwest this summer. The carrier is looking to cut costs. It's cutting out pretzels. Northwest nixed the free meals earlier this year, is now taking away the free pretzels as of June 9th. Passengers who want anything other than soda will have to pay for it. Northwest says the move will save the struggling airline $2 million a year. I really like those pretzels. Now, there's a new sign of just how frothy the housing market has become. The boom in so-called interest-only loans, a phenomenon analysts fear is a dangerous stretch for people trying to buy homes in this red-hot housing market. Jonas Max Ferris is a Fox News business contributor, co-founder of Max Funds, a funds research and analysis company. He joins me now to talk about this. A lot of people in markets like Washington, D.C., where, boy, it's out of control, trust me, San Francisco, way out of control, just unbelievably high market prices. Average house in San Francisco, $750,000. Unbelievable. And they're saying, well, I can't afford to go the whole mortgage, so I'm going to get one of these interest-only loans. And I'll pay the interest, but never really do anything else about the balance and just hope that the house gains some equity. Dangerous in this market, right?
Exactly. I mean, basically, you hit the nail on the head. As homes are getting more expensive, and we just heard that homes nationally are up about 15%, and in hot markets, the Bay Area, any coastal area, it could be 20, 30, or 40% gains in a year. People are having to come up with more creative ways to finance these, because remember, people can only afford a certain amount of monthly payment regardless of how expensive a home gets. So these types of loans where you basically are just paying off interest, you're not paying off principal and really not paying down the loan in that sense, are becoming more popular, particularly in the hot markets. They didn't exist a few years ago, hardly, and now in some areas over half the mortgages are this way. What makes it dangerous is if the home doesn't keep going up like it has in the last decade or so, and you have to sell for whatever reason, you lose your job, your income doesn't keep growing, you can't afford to make the increasing payments, which is what happens with these over time, you could have to sell a house and be totally underwater because you paid no principal off on the house, and now the house could be worth less than what you paid for it. It can totally wipe you out, basically.
So the thing to watch with these loans right now is first of all, they're adjustable rates, correct?
Many are.
Many
yes.
are, yeah. So you got to watch the fact that interest rates could go up, and the value of houses may be so superheated in some markets that they could go down, and then you can't bail out. You're in trouble. You're in the hole.
Right. Maybe you could afford a $2,000 payment today, but that payment might be $2,800 later when both interest rates go up or the principal starts to kick in, because eventually you got to start paying down the principal on the mortgage.
I got you.
So again, if you're not making more money, it could be a big trouble down the road.
Jonas Max Ferris, thank you so much. We greatly appreciate it. Your most sensitive personal information may be far from secure when it comes to the internet. We'll meet one privacy advocate who's upping the ante when it comes to the battle for cybersecurity. Stay with us.
Do you push the snooze alarm in the morning? Do you drink more than one caffeine drink during the day? Do you feel like you need a nap in the daytime? Maybe the reason you feel so tired in the morning is because you're tossing and turning on an old-fashioned spring mattress at night. You deserve a good night's sleep, and that's just what you'll get with a Tempur-Pedic Swedish Sleep System, the only mattress using the gravity-defying Tempur material originally developed by NASA and certified by the Space Foundation.
It's like you're sleeping on a cloud.
Before I had trouble sleeping through the night, and now I don't have any problems at all.
Instead of uncomfortable metal springs, the Tempur-Pedic mattress uses billions of viscoelastic memory cells. This soft yet supportive material adjusts to every curve of your body, providing a weightless-like sleep surface you have to feel to believe.
It really is magic.
It's like a gel that takes your body shape.
Oh, it's really comfortable. I could fall asleep right now.
And wake me up in about 10 minutes.
And because Tempur-Pedic doesn't transfer motion, you'll never disturb your partner. Look how the glass doesn't tip over as Kelly moves about. Amazing, and not even a drop is spilled. Don't try that with a metal spring mattress.
I can get in and out of bed without waking him up or without disturbing him at all.
So call now and we'll rush you this free information kit that includes a video explaining all about the features of the Tempur-Pedic Swedish Sleep System and a free sample of the amazing Tempur material. It will also tell you about the 20-year limited warranty and how you can try a Tempur-Pedic bed in your own bedroom free for an unheard of 4 full months. So call Tempur-Pedic now and see why Consumer Digest gave Tempur-Pedic its coveted Best Buy rating.
So call 1-800-768-4671 now for the good night's sleep you deserve. That's 1-800-768-4671.
We exposed Iran's nuclear threat. Our shocking investigative report uncovers how close they really are, what their deadly ties to terrorism mean for us, and how America could be on the brink of a nuclear disaster.
The world has to act decisively.
Tonight, Chris Wallace hosts a Breaking Point special, Iran, the Nuclear Threat.
Identity theft is on the rise, but there's one woman who's not taking this new trend sitting down. She is B.G. Ostergren, a self-described citizen activist privacy watchdog. She's on a crusade to scare and sometimes shame public officials into doing something about how easy it is to get sensitive personal data on the internet. To make her point, she provides links to the Social Security numbers and other sensitive information for major public officials on her website. B.G. Ostergren joins us now to talk about this. She is down in Richmond. So, for example, I don't think I'm telling schools out of tail, you have on your website a link that will take you to the Social Security number of the governor of Florida, Jeb Bush, correct?
Well, I do, but he went in after he found out I was going to put that on my website, the Virginia Watchdog, and he had the clerk in Miami-Dade County black it out. So I just printed, it's on my website, I printed it. I don't link to it. I link to Congressman Tom DeLays and the CIA directors and some other people.
So you spend your spare time looking for this information out on the internet, and why do you do it? What point are you trying to make?
Well, 2 years and 9 months ago, I found out that the county I live in outside of Richmond, Virginia, was going to be putting mortgage papers, deeds, financing statements, final divorce decrees on the internet. And I just thought it was just stupid and reckless. And so I stopped it. It took me 3 weeks, and then I set about stopping and getting other places pulled off the internet in Virginia, and now there are only 12 localities online in Virginia, but we're set to be all online by July 1st, 2006. But other states have already put their records online, and in these records are sensitive information like minor children's names, dates of birth, Social Security numbers, and on military discharge papers. In some states, if they're on in some states, you get the Social Security number, and it's just reckless to put that stuff out there.
We should point out, I guess most people know this, but if you get the social number and a date of birth, man, it's like the key to Pandora's box.
Oh, my husband and I have already been through it twice, thank you very much, in the late 80s, before it was even called identity theft. But people have to realize that these records are being put online all over these United States by their clerk of court or their recorder. And that's it depends on what they're called in some states. And if the state hasn't already done it, then they're in the process of doing it. And people have to get active and help stop it. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm a get-off-your-butt type person and take action.
All right. So if people are watching, they say, well, how do I find out if my stuff is online? What do you tell them?
Well, they can call their recorder or their clerk of court and they ask, hey, do you have the records online for title searching or genealogy researching? And they'll tell you. And in most places, all you have to do is just look for your recorder or your clerk of court site, and you'll find out if the records, and I'm not talking about an index, I'm talking about the image of my mortgage papers or yours or Joe Schmo's or whoever's, or final divorce decrees with the whole image of the document right there in front of you in a home that you can, you know, just dig in 24/7. And to me, that is just astounding.
Well, thank you, Ms. Olstergren. We appreciate you joining us. Interesting stuff. We thank you for your time.
Well, thank you, and my best to Tony Snow.
All right, thank you. That's all for this edition of Weekend Live, but stay tuned for all of the latest news here on Fox with Paige Hopkins. Right here on Weekend Live tomorrow, my guest will include former Secretary of Education William Bennett. It all starts at 12 noon Eastern. I hope you'll join us then. Plus, also watch Fox News Sunday with Chris Wallace. His special guest will be General Richard Myers, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Check your local listings for time and channel. I'm Brian Wilson. Thanks for watching, and stay right here with the Fox News Channel. Real journalism. It's fair, it's balanced, and occasionally fun to watch. Bye-bye.